The digital frontier, a vast, uncharted territory brimming with both unprecedented opportunity and lurking peril. It's a landscape where innovation flourishes alongside exploitation, a realm where connection can be a lifeline or a chain. This is the world into which we introduce Jean Carvier, a young prodigy, a graduate of the prestigious Massachusetts Institute of Technology, a mind that dances with algorithms and code as effortlessly as others breathe. Jean, a virtuoso of the digital age, possessed a talent so rare, so potent, it attracted the attention of those who operate in the shadows, those who see the potential for power not in progress, but in control. Africa, a continent rich in culture and potential, stood at the cusp of a digital revolution. Mobile technology was rapidly expanding, connecting remote villages to the global network, fostering unprecedented economic and social opportunities. Yet, this burgeoning connectivity was a double-edged sword, presenting a tempting target for those seeking to exploit its vulnerabilities. The promise of progress was inextricably intertwined with the threat of digital colonization, a new form of imperialism cloaked in the guise of technological advancement. This delicate balance, this precarious dance between progress and exploitation, forms the backdrop to Jean Carvier's extraordinary journey. His story is one of brilliance, betrayal, and ultimately, a courageous defiance in the face of overwhelming odds. A story that begins not in the sterile halls of academia, but in the vibrant heart of a nation poised on the brink of a technological transformation, a transformation that would irrevocably shape its destiny. The fate of Burkina Faso, and indeed a significant portion of the African continent, hung precariously in the balance, teetering on the edge of a digital precipice. Jean's actions, his choices, would determine whether this precipice would lead to a glorious ascent or a devastating fall. His journey, from unwitting pawn to unlikely hero, is a testament to the power of individual conscience in the face of immense global pressure, a narrative that resonates with the timeless struggle between freedom and oppression, played out on the ever-evolving digital battlefield. And so we begin. The approach was subtle, almost imperceptible, a seemingly innocuous invitation to a high-level conference in Paris, a chance encounter with a charismatic yet enigmatic figure, a carefully crafted conversation veiled in professional courtesy. This was the DGSE's modus operandi, their art of persuasion, their method of recruiting those with exceptional talents like Jean Carvier's. The offer was alluring, a chance to leverage his skills for a seemingly benevolent cause, improving the digital infrastructure of Burkina Faso, a nation striving to establish its place in the modern world. The details were vague, the objectives carefully obscured behind a veil of national security and humanitarian aid. Jean, ever the pragmatist, saw it as an opportunity to apply his skills on a grand scale, to make a tangible difference in a developing nation. The thought of contributing to a burgeoning digital revolution in Africa appealed to his idealistic nature. He saw a chance to bridge the digital divide, to empower a nation through technology. The DGSE carefully played on his ambition, his innate desire to make a positive impact. They painted a picture of technological advancement, of economic growth, of a brighter future enabled by his genius. The mission, presented as an act of altruism, was deceptively simple: to modernize Burkina Faso's digital systems, to integrate them into the global network, and to enhance national security. Little did Jean know, this seemingly innocuous mission was the first step in a far more intricate, far more insidious operation, Operation Eagle's Claw, a meticulously planned scheme of digital colonization, masquerading as a humanitarian endeavor. The true objective, hidden beneath layers of bureaucratic jargon and carefully chosen words, was far more sinister than improving digital infrastructure. It was about gaining complete control, about establishing a digital foothold, about subtly subjugating a nation through its own technological advancement. The seemingly benevolent face of the mission hid a dark, calculating heart, a truth Jean would soon uncover, a truth that would irrevocably change his life and the course of history. The path ahead was fraught with danger, deception, and a moral dilemma of immense proportions. The humid Ouagadougou air hung heavy as Jean stepped off the plane, a stark contrast to the sterile, climate-controlled environments he was accustomed to. His meticulously planned mission, his carefully constructed persona, felt suddenly fragile, exposed to the raw energy of a nation on the cusp of change. He had envisioned a landscape of technological backwardness, a digital wasteland ripe for modernization. The reality was far more nuanced, far more complex. Burkina Faso, despite its limited resources, pulsed with a vibrant energy, a palpable sense of hope. The streets, though bustling with activity, weren't chaotic. They possessed a rhythm, a harmony born of community and resilience. The people, warm and welcoming, greeted him with smiles that belied the hardships they faced. Their resilience, their unwavering optimism in the face of adversity, struck a chord within him. He saw not a population waiting to be saved, but a community brimming with potential, eager to shape its own destiny. His initial interactions shattered his preconceived notions. The digital infrastructure, while underdeveloped, wasn't the desolate landscape he'd anticipated. There was a grassroots movement, a network of local technicians and innovators working tirelessly to connect their communities, to build their own digital future. Their ingenuity, their passion, their determination to overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles were a stark contrast to the cold, calculating efficiency of his mission. He saw the faces of hope, of determination, of a people striving for a better future, not as subjects to be controlled, but as partners to be collaborated with. The contrast between his initial expectations and the reality on the ground was jarring, unsettling. This wasn't a passive recipient of technological aid. This was a nation actively participating in its own digital evolution. This subtle but significant shift in perspective would prove to be the catalyst for a profound change in Jean's own trajectory, a shift that would challenge the very foundations of his mission and ultimately redefine his purpose. The seeds of doubt had been sown, and they were beginning to sprout. The lines of code Jean wrote weren't just abstract symbols. They were transforming lives. He witnessed firsthand the impact of his work, the ripple effect of his digital creations. A small village, once isolated and disconnected, now connected to the wider world through a newly established network. Farmers, once reliant on outdated methods, now accessing real-time market information, optimizing their yields, and improving their livelihoods. Students, previously limited by geographical constraints, now gaining access to online educational resources, expanding their horizons, and unlocking their potential. The transformative power of technology, once a theoretical concept, became a tangible reality before his eyes. He saw the hope in the eyes of the villagers, the relief on the faces of the farmers, the excitement of the students. These weren't abstract statistics or metrics. They were real people, their lives profoundly impacted by the digital revolution he was helping to facilitate. The initial skepticism he'd felt towards the mission, the detached professionalism he'd cultivated, began to crumble under the weight of this newfound empathy. He saw the potential for genuine progress, for sustainable development, for empowerment, a stark contrast to the cold, calculated goals of Operation Eagle's Claw. The intricate web of code he was weaving wasn't merely a tool for control. It was becoming a vehicle for positive change. The digital infrastructure he was building wasn't just a network of data. It was a network of hope, connecting individuals and communities, fostering collaboration, and empowering them to shape their own future. This realization was profound, a seismic shift in his perception of his role, his purpose, and the very nature of his mission. The lines of code became vessels of empowerment, not instruments of control. His work, initially conceived as a tool for manipulation, was inadvertently fostering a sense of community and self-reliance. The digital landscape he was helping to shape was not a field for domination, but a fertile ground for growth and opportunity. This was a revelation that would force him to confront the moral implications of his actions and, ultimately, to make a choice that would define his legacy. The initial euphoria of witnessing positive change began to fade, replaced by a creeping unease. Subtleties previously overlooked now emerged from the shadows, casting a long, ominous pall over Gene's accomplishments. He noticed inconsistencies, discrepancies in the data flows, encrypted channels he hadn't authorized, backdoors subtly inserted into the systems he'd painstakingly built. These weren't accidental glitches. They were deliberate acts, carefully concealed within the seemingly benevolent architecture of the network. The seeds of doubt, initially sown by the stark contrast between his expectations and the reality of Burkina Faso, began to sprout into a full-blown crisis of conscience. His initial optimism was challenged by the realization that the very technology he was using to empower the people could be weaponized against them. The digital infrastructure he'd helped build, intended to foster growth and connection, could be exploited for surveillance, for control, for manipulation. The network he'd envisioned as a tool for liberation was being subtly repurposed as an instrument of subjugation. This realization sparked a deep internal conflict. He questioned the true motives behind his mission, the seemingly benevolent facade of humanitarian aid. The carefully crafted narrative of progress and development now seemed like a cynical smokescreen, obscuring a far more sinister agenda. The lines of code, once symbols of empowerment, now appeared as potential tools of oppression. The digital revolution he had helped initiate could become a digital conquest, a subtle form of neocolonialism masked as technological assistance. The weight of this realization pressed heavily upon him, forcing him to confront the moral implications of his actions and the potential consequences of his continued involvement. His once unwavering conviction began to waver, replaced by a growing sense of unease and a profound moral dilemma. The path ahead was uncertain, clouded by suspicion and the chilling prospect of betrayal. The truth, when it finally emerged, was far more insidious than Gene could have ever imagined. Operation Eagle's Claw, a clandestine project orchestrated by the DGSC, the French Foreign Intelligence Service, was not simply about gaining access to Burkina Faso's digital infrastructure. It was about complete and utter control. The seemingly benevolent mission of technological aid was a carefully constructed facade, masking a far more sinister agenda of digital colonization. The plan, meticulously detailed in encrypted files Gene discovered, revealed a chilling strategy of manipulation and control. The network he had helped build wasn't just to connect the people. It was to monitor them, to track their communications, to influence their behavior. The data he'd meticulously organized wasn't just for development. It was to be weaponized, used to identify and neutralize dissent, to manipulate elections, to suppress opposition. The seemingly innocuous backdoors he'd found weren't accidental glitches. They were deliberate points of access, allowing the DGSE to exert complete control over the nation's digital landscape. The potential consequences were staggering. A nation's sovereignty, its ability to govern itself, its very identity, could be compromised by this insidious form of digital imperialism. The people of Burkina Faso, who had shown such resilience and hope, risked being manipulated, controlled, and ultimately subjugated through the very technology intended to empower them. The carefully constructed narrative of progress and development unraveled, revealing a stark reality of manipulation and exploitation. The weight of this revelation bore down on Gene, the enormity of the deception, the potential for widespread harm, pushing him to a critical juncture. He was no longer simply a programmer. He was a witness to a grave injustice, a potential accomplice to a crime against a nation's digital sovereignty. The decision before him was clear: complicity or defiance. The weight of the world rested on Gene's shoulders. The revelation of Operation Eagle's Claw had shattered his carefully constructed worldview, leaving him adrift in a sea of ethical complexities. He was no longer a detached observer. He was a participant, an unwitting accomplice in a scheme designed to undermine a nation's sovereignty. The moral implications of his actions were profound, the consequences potentially devastating. He wrestled with his conscience, the conflict raging within him. His training, his instincts, his very identity as a skilled programmer had been used to facilitate a digital conquest. The tools of his trade, once symbols of innovation and progress, had been twisted into instruments of oppression. He grappled with the weight of his decision to remain silent, to perpetuate the deception, to become complicit in a crime against a nation, or to speak out, to expose the truth, to risk his own safety and security. The choice was not merely a professional one. It was a deeply personal and moral one. It forced him to confront his own values, his own sense of justice, his own humanity. He saw the faces of the Burkinabe people, their hopes and dreams, their resilience in the face of adversity. He recalled their kindness, their generosity, their unwavering belief in the transformative power of technology. To betray them, to allow Operation Eagle's Claw to succeed, would be a profound betrayal of his own conscience, a violation of his own moral code. The path of least resistance, the path of self-preservation, seemed utterly unacceptable. The price of silence was too high, the potential for harm too great. The decision, however daunting, was clear. He had to act. The decision, once made, was irrevocable. Jean Carvier, the brilliant programmer, the unwitting pawn in a complex game of geopolitical chess, chose defiance. He would betray the DGSE, expose Operation Eagle's Claw, and risk everything in the process. This wasn't a rash act. It was a calculated risk, a conscious choice born from a deep-seated commitment to justice and a profound respect for the people of Burkina Faso. The courage required to confront a powerful intelligence agency was immense, the potential consequences dire. He knew he was placing himself in mortal danger, that his actions could have far-reaching and unforeseen repercussions. Yet, the alternative, complicity in a scheme designed to subjugate an entire nation, was far more abhorrent. The potential cost of inaction far outweighed the risks of defiance. His act of rebellion began subtly, with the careful extraction of incriminating data, the meticulous documentation of the DGSE's clandestine operations. He worked in the shadows, carefully navigating the treacherous digital landscape, evading surveillance, concealing his tracks. Each line of code he wrote, each file he transferred, was an act of defiance, a small but significant step towards exposing the truth. His actions were not those of a disillusioned spy. They were the actions of a man driven by a powerful sense of moral obligation, a man willing to sacrifice everything for the sake of justice. The weight of his choice was immense, but his resolve was unshakable. He was no longer a tool of oppression. He was a champion of freedom, a beacon of hope in the digital darkness. IBRAHIM TRAORÉ, the newly elected leader of Burkina Faso, was a man of unwavering integrity and vision. He understood the transformative potential of technology, but also its inherent dangers. He possessed a keen intellect and a deep understanding of the geopolitical landscape, recognizing the subtle ways in which technology could be used to exert power and control. He was the perfect partner for Jean in this audacious undertaking. The meeting took place under the cloak of secrecy, a clandestine exchange in a dimly lit room, the air thick with anticipation. Jean, his heart pounding in his chest, presented Traoré with irrefutable evidence of Operation Eagle's Claw, revealing the DGSE's plan for digital colonization. He laid bare the intricate web of deception, the insidious nature of the operation, the potential consequences for Burkina Faso's sovereignty. Traoré listened intently, his expression unwavering, his gaze unwavering. He was not shocked. He was resolute. He understood the stakes, the gravity of the situation. This was not simply a technological challenge. It was a battle for the very soul of his nation. The revelation solidified his commitment to digital sovereignty, a commitment that extended beyond national borders. The meeting concluded not with fear or despair, but with a newfound sense of purpose, a shared commitment to fight back against digital imperialism. A partnership was forged, a pact between a brilliant programmer and a visionary leader, a testament to the power of individual conscience and collective action. The fight for digital sovereignty had begun, and Jean Carvier, once a tool of oppression, had become its most unlikely champion. The stage was set for a revolution, not of violence, but of ideas, a revolution ignited by a single act of defiance. The task before them was monumental: to build a truly independent and secure digital infrastructure from the ground up. This wasn't simply a matter of installing new servers and laying new cables. It was a fundamental reimagining of Burkina Faso's digital landscape, a project that demanded innovation, collaboration, and unwavering commitment. Jean and Traoré, united by a shared vision, embarked on this ambitious undertaking, drawing on their respective expertise to create a system that was not only technologically advanced, but also ethically sound and resilient to external manipulation. Jean, leveraging his exceptional programming skills, spearheaded the development of a decentralized network designed to resist centralized control and withstand cyber attacks. He incorporated cutting-edge encryption technologies, ensuring the confidentiality and integrity of data. He also focused on building local capacity, training Burkinabe engineers and technicians, empowering them to manage and maintain the system independently. This was crucial, ensuring the long-term sustainability of the project and fostering a sense of ownership among the local population. Traoré, meanwhile, focused on the political and economic aspects of the project, securing funding, navigating bureaucratic hurdles, and fostering international partnerships. He championed the cause of digital sovereignty on the global stage, advocating for policies that promoted digital self-determination and opposed digital colonialism. His leadership inspired other African nations to follow suit, sparking a continent-wide movement for digital liberation. The collaboration between Jean and Traoré was a powerful force, a testament to the potential of a truly collaborative partnership between a visionary leader and a skilled technologist. Together, they were building not just a digital infrastructure, but a foundation for a more just and equitable future. The success story of Burkina Faso, a nation reclaiming its digital destiny, didn't remain confined within its borders. News of Traoré and Carvier's triumph spread like wildfire across the African continent, igniting a spark of hope and inspiring a wave of resistance against digital colonization. The narrative resonated deeply, striking a chord with leaders and citizens alike who recognize the inherent dangers of technological dependence and the importance of digital self-determination. From the bustling tech hubs of Nairobi to the quiet villages of rural Senegal, the message was clear: Africa would not be a passive recipient of technology imposed by external forces. It would forge its own digital path, one built on principles of autonomy, security, and collaboration. The movement transcended geographical boundaries, uniting diverse nations under a shared banner of digital sovereignty. It became a powerful symbol of Pan-African solidarity, a testament to the enduring spirit of resistance against neocolonialism in its modern guise. This wasn't merely a technological revolution. It was a social and political awakening. It fostered a sense of collective agency, empowering African nations to take control of their digital futures and shape their own narratives. The movement fostered collaboration and knowledge sharing, creating a network of support and expertise that helped nations build their own resilient and secure digital infrastructures. It was a testament to the power of shared vision and collective action, a beacon of hope in the ever-evolving digital landscape. The success in Burkina Faso served not as an isolated victory, but as a catalyst for a continental-wide movement, a testament to the enduring power of defiance in the face of oppression. Jean Carvier's journey was one of profound transformation. He began as a tool of a powerful intelligence agency, a young programmer unwittingly complicit in a scheme of digital colonization. Yet, through a series of events that tested his conscience and challenged his preconceived notions, he underwent a metamorphosis, evolving from a spy into a passionate advocate for digital rights. His transformation was not sudden or effortless. It was a gradual process of self-discovery, fueled by his encounters with the resilient people of Burkina Faso and their unwavering commitment to self-determination. The seeds of change were sown in the heart of Burkina Faso, where he witnessed firsthand the positive impact of technology when used ethically and responsibly. The stark contrast between his initial mission and the reality on the ground forced him to confront the moral implications of his actions. This internal struggle culminated in a courageous act of defiance, an act that put his life at risk but ultimately set him on a new path. His decision to expose Operation Eagle's Claw was not merely a betrayal of his agency. It was an affirmation of his conscience, a testament to the power of individual action to effect meaningful change. He traded the anonymity of a clandestine operation for the spotlight of public advocacy, becoming a vocal critic of digital imperialism and a champion of digital sovereignty. His story became a symbol of hope and inspiration, a testament to the power of one person's unwavering commitment to justice and the transformative potential of individual conscience. His journey serves as a powerful reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds, one person's unwavering commitment to ethical principles can spark a global movement for change. The ripple effect of the Burkina Faso success story was profound and far-reaching. The Pan-African movement for digital sovereignty, fueled by the courageous actions of Jean Carvier and the visionary leadership of IBRAHIM Traoré, yielded tangible results across the continent. Numerous African nations began to prioritize the development of their own indigenous digital infrastructures, investing heavily in education, training, and research. This led to a surge in local technological innovation, fostering the growth of a vibrant and diverse tech ecosystem. The movement also spurred the creation of regional collaborations, with nations sharing knowledge, resources, and expertise. This collective approach proved significantly more effective than isolated efforts, allowing nations to leverage their combined strengths to overcome common challenges. The emphasis shifted from dependence on external technologies to a focus on self-reliance, fostering a greater sense of ownership and control over the digital sphere. This collective effort resulted in a more resilient and secure digital landscape across Africa. The continent began to develop its own robust cybersecurity measures, better equipped to withstand cyber attacks and protect its critical infrastructure. Moreover, the movement fostered a deeper understanding of the ethical implications of technology, promoting responsible innovation and usage. The legacy of Jean Carvier's defiance extended far beyond Burkina Faso, shaping the digital future of an entire continent and serving as an inspiration for movements worldwide advocating for digital self-determination. His actions demonstrated the power of individual courage and the transformative potential of collective action in the face of digital imperialism. The struggle for digital sovereignty is not merely a technological pursuit. It is a fundamental fight for self-determination and development. In an increasingly interconnected world, control over one's digital infrastructure is paramount to national security, economic prosperity, and social progress. The story of Jean Carvier and Burkina Faso serves as a stark reminder of the insidious nature of systemic exploitation masked as technological aid. The seemingly benevolent act of providing technological assistance can easily morph into a tool of control and manipulation, undermining a nation's ability to chart its own course. Digital colonization, whether overt or covert, stifles innovation, perpetuates dependency, and hinders a nation's ability to harness its full potential. True development requires not only access to technology, but also the capacity to control and shape its trajectory. Digital sovereignty empowers nations to define their own digital identities, to protect their citizens' data, and to build digital ecosystems that reflect their unique cultural and social contexts. It is a cornerstone of true independence, allowing nations to leverage technology for the betterment of their people rather than becoming pawns in the geopolitical games of powerful nations. The fight for digital sovereignty is a fight for the future, a fight for self-determination in the digital age, a fight that demands our unwavering attention and commitment. It is a fight worth fighting. Gene Carvier's story is more than just a tale of a programmer's defiance. It's a powerful parable about the enduring human spirit and the transformative power of individual conscience. His journey, from unwitting participant in a scheme of digital colonization to a champion of digital rights, resonates deeply with the ongoing struggle for digital freedom across the globe. His actions served as a catalyst, igniting a movement that transcends geographical boundaries and inspires individuals and nations to assert their digital sovereignty. The legacy of his defiance continues to inspire those fighting against technological exploitation and digital imperialism. His story is a testament to the importance of ethical considerations in technological development, urging us to be mindful of the potential for technology to be used as a tool of oppression. It underscores the critical need for transparency, accountability, and participatory governance in the digital sphere. The fight for digital freedom, as exemplified by Gene Carvier's courageous stand, is an ongoing battle, but his story serves as a beacon of hope, reminding us that even a single individual can make a profound difference in the pursuit of a more just and equitable digital world. His actions resonate far beyond Africa, leaving a lasting impact on the global conversation about digital rights and self-determination. His legacy is one of courage, resilience, and the unwavering pursuit of a better future.